Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om A Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dhagi Jitsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Sikso So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Oyon Sungi Nawa Tsedo So Tseji Nyingne Solwa Debe Tse Dejen Korlo Visu Lekshune Yila Sambe Dudun Malupa Geme Lungi Drubra Chingi Lo Tsoni Sodan Diktun Shabe Tse Dunge Namke Yinsu Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Zopa Dang Chera Nidun Chamra Chingi Lo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tukuntu Niu Peme Siudru Lekshune Gelken Kunshi Shi Tungen Dela Drubra Chingi Loba Dagi Lona Chola Chokpa Dang Chemin Samchur Ngemba Shiwa Dang Chedan Tumbe Dudun Malupa Beme Lungi Drubra Chingi Lo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamche Dan Techi Pardu Nekab Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Keleme Tukche Chingi Dala Sikso So Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Jetsun Lame Tuje Rab Gongne Kodan Sungi Nawa Dralme Tu Nyamsunyongwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kundu Yanda Lama Dan Rame Chikipe La Longche Chin Sadan Lamge Yunde Rabzone Dorje Change Kopa Nyur Tobo Sho Pakyuke Kodan Dagelu Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Ngam Pakyuke Tukdan Dagi Yerme Chiktu Lo Makyuke Kudan Dagilu Makyuke Sundan Dagi Ngam Makyuke Tukdan Dagi Yi Yerme Chiktu Chingilu Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Munye Soha Om Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swahayata Yata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swahayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swahayata samgate bodhi swaha Sashipu ki choshiameto Tramare rabalingashi Nide gempadi Sange shinto Mikte ulwarki drokunam da shingla chopar shoyedam guru ratna mindrala kam niryatayami Sangye chedan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chin dage jinso gibe sonam ki drola penchira sangye drupar sho sangye chedan tsoge chonam Chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dage jinso gibe sonam ki Pinchira sangye drupar sho sangye chedan tsoge chonam la Chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dage jinso gibe sonam ki Drola pinchira sangye
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Namo yalhaye ke dan ludan nue chin ke rupundanda mi ke namdam drowa kunge janama chi tsampa tamche ke tu dagi chöten. Buongiorno.
Good morning.
L'altro ieri,
The day before yesterday, we talked about of the process of listening, understanding, and meditate. And there is a very important mantra which could, in its essence, can in its senses show what is the path, the essence of the path. We can interpret this mantra from a very simple side of things, like from the modern worldly point of view. For instance, Tayata, the mantra, Tayata Paragata,
che si trova all'interno
Tayata, which is inside the sutra, the Heart Sutra, so-called the essence of the perfection of wisdom. Tayata is translated in Tibetan with Teyate. We can say it is so. Is the moment when one understood, got the understanding. Gate, gate means going, going. Paragate, go forward, go beyond. Parasangatete means go very, very further beyond. Body means enlightenment, but can also mean the state of perfection, to have been perfected. And soa is as it so. And also this soa we can translate in many different ways. So it's let's go, gone beyond, go further beyond to the perfection, and so it be. From the very simple point of view, it is so, ditate, tayata in Sanskrit, it means I understood something. I understand. For instance, the preciousness of this human life, recognize the endowment and the favorable condition that we have, and so how much it's so difficult to find such a precious life which has a great potential. How much is precious my life? I understood. It is so. Now I have to pass from the concept, from the mere understanding, to the realization, coming to the true realization. So at the basis of what I understood, I have to bring it to the body state. Body we can translate in Tibetan Chanchub. That means also perfections, bring to the max potential something. In this case, it means when I become able to feel the preciousness of this life without thinking about. It's something that I embody in myself, becomes a part of myself, this comprehension. To reach there, I have to do gone, 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 go, gone, gone. Second passage, go further, go beyond, far beyond, and reach the enlightenment. These are the five. The first two gone, gate, it's related to the conceptual process. So the first one, it's referred to have understood, have the comprehension, and have been familiarized with that, but we didn't reach there. So the first two gone, it means that we have to familiarize, but it's still it's not in the superficial experience, it's something conceptual. If we want to be really precise from the technical way, it's not this my intent to go in details into it. We have first the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the vision path, the meditation path of familiarization, and path of no more learning. The first two regard our capacity to familiarize ourselves with the example for the precious human life. So I repeat to myself many times, I reflect upon the meaning, I meditate on the meaning, that how precious is my life, and slowly I get the realization. The familiarization at the beginning is still conceptual, but I can keep my mind on that focus point, and I can go back to this point, this comprehension. I have finished my first gone. The second gone is when not only I can keep my mind focused on that object, but also I can add a personal research, an observation. In technical terms, we talk about shamatha and vipassana, these two kind of meditations. The first two, we have to familiarize more and more, repeat, read again, think and rethink, meditate upon. Why? To go further, paragate, beyond the concept. Go beyond the conceptual level, to have a direct experience of that. One is gone beyond when understood it's not something coming from the head, it's something that I feel in my body. I really something that is going beyond the words. So, walking and going behind of the conceptual level. After this, paragate, we have to go to parasangate. You have to go much further beyond. Much further beyond means repeat that non-conceptual experience many, many times until I can reach to the end, until that experience becomes a part of myself, is not separated, is not something that I have to recall or research for that. It's spontaneous in myself. So the process is before I understand on a conceptual level, and there we are gate, we are on these two first steps. And if we take all this process made by 5 moments, and we have to divide it from the effort point of view and the time that you have to devote to that. And the first is 1/3. It's regarding the first 2, is the conceptual part, 1/3 of the path. To go from the conceptual part to the direct experience, it's 1/3 gate, and then we reach to paragate, go beyond the concept, and we have another third. Then we go to the parasangate, that means familiarized with the non-conceptual level. And then we have 2/3 of time. The first is the phase to familiarize yourself to reach to the body, to that state, the spontaneous state, natural and spontaneous, when you embody constantly in yourself. There is no more separation between your being and the experience itself. So with that we have a guideline, a direct guideline of what is the path. So when we say we develop love, gratitude, respect, awareness of the impermanence, the certainty of the death, altruism, correct view of reality, there are many, many aspects there that are together. And the path is the same, tayyata. It is so, go, gone, gate, go beyond, paragate, go further beyond, parasamgate, and go to the perfection, the state of body. And this is very important for us because, as I said before, very often in the time when we live in our culture, we have the tendency to think, I understood. Okay, good. And when we are at the point that we say, I understood, where we are in the Tayyagata, Gate, Paragate, Parasangate, Bodhisattva, we are in the Tayyata, just the first word. It's already a lot to reach there. It's great. But from Tayyata, we have to reach to body. So from Tayyata, we have to do walk, go beyond, go much far beyond. And that means there is this path of familiarization. It's quite long. How we familiarize ourselves with that? Repeating, be in touch with that. And the way to be in touch with something and to familiarize yourself with something is divided in 2 moments. Exists the moment of the meditation, formal meditation, and the time after post-meditation session. For instance, we take this book. We can say, I want to familiarize with this book. When I think to the book, the liberation on the palm of your hand, the Papunka, the Chenyimpo, when I think to this book, I have a mental image. Now you also can see this book, you can see it. Now, I don't show you anymore the book. You have the mental image of the book. How many pages has the book? A lot? Few? How many? Let's check. With all the notes, there are 202 pages it is. So now we close. Do you have the mental imaging of the book? How many pages? Sorry. 902, maybe I misunderstood. So the mental imaging is changed. What is changed? There is a brocade of drake with dragons, This book was written from the master of Lama Ganchen. To be precise, that was written by the master of Lama Ganchen, which was the transcription given by his own master. But because the teachings come from his own, his master, the author put the name of his master. Quindi Kyabje Teja Rinpoche spent many times when he was receiving the teachings, while Paponka Rinpoche was concentrated, looking to the master, was writing without looking. He was transcribing in real time what every word of Paponka Rinpoche, then he took its notes, put it all together, and made an editing, creating this book, where he put the name of his master. Now, when we think to the book, we are more, in mental imaging, much more detailed, right? Who has read it? It's much more. What is the book about? It talks about the gradual path to enlightenment. It talks about Tayyata, Gatagata, Paragata, Parasangate, Bodhisattva, how to reach to Tayyata, and then slowly how to reach to the body. So this is the path to enlightenment. The more we talk about the book, the more we go in details, and the more we do it, the more the mental imaging of the book becomes clear. So when we think to the book, The Liberation of the Palm of My Hands, we can connect immediately with the book and its characteristics. Now, if I go in contact with this book, and sometimes look, then I leave it there, then I take, each time I look at it, somehow I'm reinforcing the mental image that I have of the book. So if I take the book and I put it in front of myself and I start to observe the cover, I do an analysis, and I watch to any details. I open the books, I read the index, I start to analyze. In each part, I touch the word, I read the word, I touch the paper, I do a detailed analysis, and when I finish, I stay there and I reflect. I take all the contents of my analysis, and I watch the book together in all its complexity, and I stay with my focused mind unilaterally, in a unilateral way to the book. This is the familiarization. When I think to the book, after is coming all the content which I have reflected upon, observed, and so forth. So what is happening in our process of familiarization in the moment when we are analyzing without other distractions? And then once we finish our analysis, and so all the details, we stay concentrated on that. This we call the meditation. It is the analytic meditation and the unilateral meditation. For instance, the preciousness of this human life. First, we do the analytic meditation on that. It's like if we have to explain to someone which does not understand why the life is so precious. We have to explain to a person why it's so. So we try to make an internal dialogue, and we are explaining to someone, look, the life is so precious because we have unique conditions that allow us to overcome our sufferings. We have three conditions necessary. We have the minimum material sustenance and sustaining to live. Otherwise, our life is consumed by that. We have to find someone who wants to guide us spiritually speaking, and we want to have the will to walk the path. And so we do an analytic process in how is precious and why. It's like we take an equation and we start from the beginning all the equation in all its passages. For instance, one very simple, 2 plus 2 is equal 4. Until here we reach. Because now with we are almost not able to calculate mentally. So 2 plus 2 is equal 4 plus 2, we can also reach to there. When we stay simple, 4 and 2 plus 2 not necessarily are the same thing. we can say that the fourth being a result of 2 plus 2, and the 2 plus 2 are two different things. It's different that I watch 2 plus 2 equals 4, and inside the 4 I can see the 2 plus 2. And another thing, and they reach to the solution 4. I don't know if you can see the difference. So the analytic meditations is where we do the equation 2 plus 2. When I reach to the conclusion, final conclusion, I'm there to the 4. I stay with the concentration unidirected on 4, which is the result of 2 plus 2. When I do this, I create a deeper level of familiarization. This is the meditative process, and this we can use also for simple things in life, because sometimes we have some days a little bit more gray, more dark. We don't have enough mental clarity. We are taken by emotions. There is something, the weather, the internal weather, there is some rain, some clouds, some tempest, and sometimes for someone more, for other less. There are so beautiful sunny days, not too hot, not too cold, the sky is clear. There are some days where you have this internal clarity more than other days. When you have this inner clarity, maybe not on everything, but for something more, it is important to take decisions and give yourself a direction when in the moment of clearness, because then it's passing. That's why we need to remind to ourselves of that topic, and we have to go back to the moment of clarity. So I take an important decision which is difficult to apply. I make all the detailed process very long with clarity and awareness, and I took that decision. And there is the great possibility that in a few days we forget it. So what I have to do? I have to do the analytic meditations. I have to review why I took the decision, pros and cons here and there, all the whys, and I reach to the final conclusion, unilateral focus concentration with the mind. Instead of observing my breath, I observe the conclusion. This life is precious. I generate this inner feeling, this gratitude feeling, the preciousness and the urgency to use it well, and I stay in that state the more I can. And so I familiarize myself more and more. When I'm not doing the meditation, in that period, it's important to remember the topics, the conclusions, so we can continue to familiarize also when we are not in meditation. So in reality, if we look well, the part of teachings, the fundamental concepts, for instance, in the Buddhist path, there are not so many. If we want to complicate, we can complicate it a lot. But to keep it simple, it's quite simple. In fact, Lama Tsongkhapa he summarized in 3 points: love yourself, love the others, and live your life with coherence, which is renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct view of reality. Only 3 points. But then, in the middle, we have to pass from Tayyata, Gatagat, to Gatagate, Paragate, Parasangate, and Bodhisoa. For instance, we can say the first point is abandon what is damage us and cultivate what is good for us. Tayyata is something, and Gata is already another step. So I have to repeat to myself why these things is negative for me, why it is important to abandon it, why I have attachment for what is damaging me because I'm out of balance. So we do this auto-analysis and then we put it in practice. Someone could say me, yes, Lama, but it's heavy, it's tiring. Yes, I reply, it is tiring. Requires a lot of energy. But I think that life, personally, it's tiring, it's heavy to live, difficult. Sometimes I watch, but the childhood of a child, it's tiring. It's difficult, yes. When the adult watch back to his childhood, they say, "Ah, yes, you have no responsibility." But to grow up and learn how to relate yourself with other things, there are many, many beautiful aspects, but also negative parts. Also, to be born is difficult. The childhood, the early childhood is tiring. According to me, yes. When I see the little children, they are so beautiful, but it's not easy for them to live. Then the teenagers, the teens, it's easy or not? The post-adolescence, you don't know which side you are, how you are, which job I have to do, which profession, what I want to do, the relationships. A lot of questions, not easy, very beautiful. The first part of the adult life is tiring. I have to take the responsibility of myself, my profession. I get married, I don't get married, children, I don't have children. So many difficulties. In Brazil, we say, I don't know what to do. I get married or buy a bicycle for myself. We are there in this kind of uncertainty. Then the next phase is, now the work, the job is what you say, the profession, the family is what it is, and to go on with what you choose in the direction of the life now is running. Your life is going. It's really tiring also. And the next phase is to become an old person. It's tiring. To die, easy or difficult? I don't remember. But until now, everybody succeeds to die. So what is happening, I don't think that it's a tiring process. It's not without tiredness. So what I saw, if in any phase of the life we have our own tiredness, why we don't want to do something because it's tiring, it's an excuse we give to ourselves. Because if I don't work for something, I have to work for something else. The point is not to work. The point is work in a way that then increase our suffering, our suffering, instead of to put effort in something that can give us a better life, more healthy, better relationships. So the previous verses that we read before, exert yourself constantly with enthusiasm. That means put energy, apply energy in something that is positive, but it's not easy. This is one of the great qualities and the great challenge of our life. We have to do it with joy, because the definitions of Shantideva, of enthusiastic effort, is in Tibetan is Son Kan, 2 syllables. That means what is the effort? Son Kan. Sun means sondru, effort. Kan Nyimpa, Kan Re, Kan. What is effort? Son Kan. Gelat Trewao, Gewa, virtue. La, to, Trova, joy. So it's the joy in what is virtuous, in what is positive. What does it mean that something is virtuous? Virtuous, the definition of virtuous is what is, once that it gives its own fruit, its own results of that action, it manifests in an inner state of joy and well-being. So in other words, the virtue is put energy with joy in what it is good for us, for ourselves. To put effort with joy, we have to see a lot of advertisements. In other words, to attain effort is not opposing yourself to the laziness. We have to cultivate the passion for something that we want to perceive. The more I know it, the more I remember the benefits that brings me. More I determine to eliminate the opposite, and I brainwash myself and go again and again on these topics, and the more is coming the will to change. It's not for nothing that the advertisement publicity is working. It's the great business of the world. How many amount of money is every year involved in the advertisement? An enormity, an enormous quantity. Why? Why? Because it works. It works because each information that we receive, it stays there, and the more we watch that, and the more this imprint that lives in our mind becomes stronger. If we repeat, these things gradually enter in our mind. For instance, even exist the subliminal messages, which there are different ways to apply this, but what was catching my attention is if you take a video in which in each second you have 24 photograms in the cinema, or 30, and if we take each one of 10 or 7 photograms, so we put a message, we put an image, we cannot perceive it. You say what you say, you can see that is there between. But if you go to see, then you receive the message. So they make some tests, they put some words, and at the end of the video, they ask a question to the person. They could answer, and they didn't know from where this information came. Then, as far as I know, it was prohibited now, forbidden to use this subliminal message in publicity. But what I ask myself is, if this image appears to my eyes, that for a fraction of a second, which I can't see with my mind, it has an impact in my mind, and all the things were printed there, and I look again and again on that, has an enormous impact in our mind. So what I invite you to do, one of the things that I think is very important, is our diet of audiovisual contents. A diet. That means everything I see, everything I listen to is going to nourish in a way instead of another. So I absorb this information, not myself and no other. If as far as I know, we cannot be indifferent to what we see and we see or we hear. It's like some video games where there is a lot of violence inside, killing people and so on. There was an English research in which I read once. They said that the young generation who followed a lot of these video games with a certain level of violence, they are much more propense to act in real life with violence, because if I imagine to react with violence, I'm giving to myself that direction. I'm teaching to myself that. This without going in details in more heavy stories. I remember one time I read that in the armies in the USA, they saw that the generation who grown with war games where you kill and so on, and then they go to the army, these children, they have much less problem to kill a real human being instead of the others who were not trained in that, because it becomes normal. You did so many times mentally that it comes, you teach to yourself that. You are used to that. What I want to say, the images that we consume has a great deal of impact on us. Lama Rinpoche, all the spaces that he was taking care, his house, he it stick everywhere, all sacred images. We can be aware of that. If you look here around in the temple, some temples, they have a corner with the white wall. Here, Rinpoche told me, you have to do automatic tanka. That means tanka is the sacred painted. You do automatic tanka, and then I found this method, the tattoo wall, because it said, because each time you see an image, it leaves an imprint in your mind. If a sacred image, they leave that imprint. There is a referment, a meaning to that, and this leave a trace in your mind. So it's an aspect that where we are in the post-meditative state also, because how long can last the time between one meditation and the others? A couple of hours, something more. I don't know. You have to tell me. 2 weeks, maybe? Each 2 weeks, a little bit less. It depends from the person. Maybe someone once in 2 years, or 1 day, or 12 hours, depends. But the point is that we spend a lot of time out of the meditative state instead of in the meditative state. So in our training in life, we are always training ourselves, familiarize ourselves in something. What has the heavy space out of the meditative state, because we spend more time out of meditation. So how we live the life in that context is very, very important, because it's the majority of our time. We don't have to live with this heavy feeling, oh, I cannot do this, oh, I cannot do that. No, with lightness. Because also we have to remember there is the placebo effect. I think that everybody knows about that. I believe that this is good for me and is working for me. Then exists also the nocebo effect. I believe that is bad for me, and it in fact is bad for me. It becomes, for instance, with the food, become bad for me. For me, it's very important to eat in a healthy way. But then when I start to have the paranoia, this I cannot eat, this I cannot eat, this no, that no, and then the nocebo effect, according to me, is manifesting. I think if I eat that, then finally I really feel bad. So we have to pay attention what we feel, what we listen, and not enter in the paranoid state, say I cannot do this, I can do this, or the guilty feeling. I watched that video which I do, I should not look, I do 21 Vajrasattva purification mantra. No, relax. But the point is what I consume, even from the visual way, it's important. I heard this term to do a diet of information diet, first time from Yuval Harari, which is a writer. He was saying, giving the example, some time ago, we never say, our grandfather, they ever talk about diet? No, because we eat only the necessary quantity of food. Now we eat too much, we eat bad, and then we need to do diet. But today, it's not only the food diet, we need to do an information diet, because we receive too much information, and also superficial. And if I remember well, for example, he did 2 months a year. He spent, which is not talking to anybody, is not reading nothing, is not watching the news. That full diet of information is fasting, information fasting, and they spend all the day meditating. Why? Because in this way, as he has the possibility to have much more inner space to elaborate what is already inside, and so on. In our life, to do a little bit of diet, information diet, the information is very healthy. So we have to look which kind of information we receive. It's not eating at all, but I choose what I'm going to eat. I'm not receiving any more information, but I choose which information to receive. In the part we go to the past, of the text which I want to read today.
Tramite la consapevolezza, la vigilanza.
With the mind, verse 2, without mindfulness, recognition, vigilance, and conscientiousness, guard the doors of your senses at all times, again and again, thrice by day and by night, examine the continuum of your mind. Trenta Sheshi Chakyopes, Drempa Sheshi Pakyo. Difficult to translate, but we try. Drempa we can translate as memory. Sheshin it's similar to awareness. Pakyo is consciousness. We give an example. We are leaving for a trip. We are driving. Drempa remembers. I remember where I'm going, because imagine I'm leaving for a journey and at halfway I forget where I was going. What was my direction? I go through Milano. On the way I forget that I'm going to Milan, and then I look another road is going to Genova, and I reach to Genova. Not because I didn't watch well, because I forgot where I was going. I don't know if something similar ever happened to you. I think so. Maybe not at this level, but some small forgetfulness. From at home, you go from a room to another to take something. You are in the middle of the room, and I do other things, and you forgot what you were going to do because you forgot. It can happen to me. Sometimes happens too. This is memory. Memory is to recall, remind where I'm going, what I want, to remember the direction and keep that awareness alive, awake. This is fundamental. I want to familiarize myself with kindness. This is the objective. I want to become kinder. I want to familiarize the kindness. I keep that awareness, the memory, that direction. The second one, the second aspect, Sheshin in Tibetan, translated as awareness, is the awareness of what I'm doing in the present. I'm leaving for my journey. I remember that I want to go to Milan, but I wanted to go to Milano, was sure, but I didn't realize where there was the direction for Genova. I went to Genova. Oh, but I'm in Genova. How this happened? Because I was not aware of what I was doing in the present. This is something that it's often happens. So one knows where he's going, where he wants to go, and then by habit is not aware what he's doing. So I know that I want to develop kindness. There is the memory, but at a certain point there is so strong the habit to answer in an unpolite way, unkind way, that finally I react in an aggressive way. I'm not even aware that I was doing that. Is it clear? So the first two is to remember what I want and have attention on what I'm doing. These are the first two. The third one, these are the two importance. The third is conscientiousness, so to be conscious of what you already know. For instance, we will die. Someone has some doubt about that. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. When? When we will die? No one is answering. Nobody. When we will die? We don't know. Today? Maybe. Our we don't know. It's including the day of today, more or less. The most classic is I don't know, maybe in about 20 years I will die. But we know that we will have to die, and we know that we know that we don't know the moment. But we have this awareness in our daily life. We wake up and we remember that we have to die. It's present in our choices, in our thoughts, this awareness. This is a lack of conscientiousness. I know, but I'm not consciousness of that. The conscientiousness, we have to bring to a conscious level what we already know. This is conscientiousness, and this is another very important quality. So the three tools the Atish remembers us, is to have the clarity to remember the objective that we have, because it's that the text to put aside Odab and hesitation and take delight in earnest practice. So put energy to the practice where you want to go, but after sometimes we forget. Maybe now when we are together, everything is so clear, then one is going back to the daily life and one thing and another, things they go in another plan of life. So we lose this awareness, and we have to remember where I want to go and to have that attention that it's like to be a policeman of ourselves. I have to self-control myself, what I'm doing, how I'm reacting. I'm going to the right direction. A good controller is the one who didn't show up only when it's really necessary. Is there, but looks like it's not there. When you start to go out of your path, then they say, no, this is not correct. So this attitude of self-control or self-directions, it means where we are going in the right directions is almost non-existent. When he realizes that we are going out, it appears and then becomes more strong when you are going out of your rail. Why it comes sometimes things we want to do, things that they are not good for us. Why? Because we have the habit. We are made by habits. There are also other explanations, but mainly because it's our emotional habits, they are our style of life, habits, and so on. So part of the path is create new habits, new healthy paragate, parasangate, embody when it comes the right habit embodied. So we have to remember where I'm going, observe what I'm doing, and then once that we have this clear, we have to try to take the important aspects of our path and bring them at the presence of the present moment, what we already know, with awareness. And with this attitude, we have to protect the senses door, which are where the information are coming in ourselves. So we have eyes, so protect our eyesight, to protect the hearing power, the taste, and the smell. How can I protect the eyes? I close my eyes, I open only when I need? No. How can I protect my hearing, my ears? I close my ears? No. To protect the senses, principally, we have to choose with awareness with what we are going to interact and how we are going to interact. So what I look, what I listen to, what I eat, what smell what odor I smell, with which object I'm going to interact, and how. To protect the sense door is also having the attention how I react, how do I talk, and how do I think. And Atisha continues saying, examine the continuum of your mind again and again, thrice by day and by night, that means all day and all night. Examine the continuum of your mind repeatedly. So during the day and in the evening, it's not that during the night when you're sleeping, you put the alarm clock and you wake up to make so some people take things very literally. I divided the night in 3 times. I put my alarm clock to wake up 3 times. Sometimes, in time to time, we stop ourselves to see in which direction I'm going, which are the thoughts that are taking power on myself, what I'm doing, and then in that moment we redirect ourselves in the right directions. These moments are when there are some energetic changes, because it's described that when there are some energetic changes, it's most probably that we have an inner change, change of emotion, inner energies. So at the other moment where we must be careful, which is at dawn, but most of us is sleeping at the time, midday. That is not midday of the clock. We talk when the sun is at the zenith in the sky. Then we have the sunset, and then we have also the midnight. These are the main 4 moments of day and night. So the key is during the day, dedicate a few times a day when we wake up, maybe before going out of the house, then we stop coffee break in the office between one meeting and another. When you finish one thing before starting another, before eating, after eating, you have to create some moments where you stop for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, just the time that you have, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, even better. But you take a moment where you breathe, observe himself or herself, and you watch if you are living coherently with what you want to be. If yes, continue. If it's not, we redirect ourselves. Normally in these moments we can take the refuge, we repeat the words to give our directions, generate bodhicitta. The person who took the commitment with the bodhisattva vows to practice the altruism. Sometimes you stop yourself and you say, I'm guided by my selfishness or by my altruism. I look inside myself. You can do a mantra and you redirect yourself. You can do the verse, which is not really a prayer. There are some verses to direct yourself to the correct aspirations. In Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, take refuge until enlightenment with the practice of generosity and the other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. For instance, one recite these verses. You do something, someone does something to redirect oneself. So during the day, during the night, we find these small moments that we can also call bardo, this intermediate state, which is fundamental. They're fundamental, these moments. Before you, as soon as you finish something, you start new things. A person, for instance, which is following a lot of meetings, one of the difficulties is that when one meeting was not okay, was going wrong, when you start the new meeting, it's already a little bit contrariated, irritated when you start a new meeting. So we have to remember, okay, this meeting is finished, we make a pause, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, few minutes, the necessary time, I breathe, I say this is close, in which state I am, in which state I want to find myself, I redirect myself and go to the next task with awareness. This moment in between one thing and another is where we can give to ourselves the right direction, redirect ourselves. So this between one day and another, is between one action and the other, one meeting and the other. So it's important for us to can review what has been done, to review what we want to do, and we constantly redirect ourselves. I repeat what we say yesterday. We don't do with an attitude of guilty feelings, to beat ourselves, beat up and say, oh, I didn't go good, I was not enough. Okay, I can take act that I make some mistakes. Lama Ganchen says the only people who don't make mistakes is the one who don't do nothing. So, okay, I did some mistakes. It's so good that I can recognize, because this is the point. When we recognize to make a mistake, it's so beautiful. It's a great sign. Why? Excellent sound. Because the real problem, we are sure when we do stupid things that we are doing the right thing. When we do great stupid things and we convince ourselves that this is the right thing, this is the worst case scenario, because when you have a conduct which is not correct, because it's bad for us, it's bad for others, and we realize that this is so, and we cannot stop ourselves from that habit, we can separate for that, but we recognize that this is wrong for us, it's already a great step, because this allows ourselves to make a change. The serious problem is where there is an unhealthy conduct and we are convinced that that is good. For instance, I say something that I have here in my mind, I need to say, I don't know which word I can use. I was a little bit worried, a little bit shocked in a certain way of some scenes that I saw in the recent times. With this, I don't want to point the finger against anybody, but just to bring some awareness, because there are scenes of children, very, very young children, babies, left in front of a screen. I went to Milano for an event. When I came out, there was a mama with this carry for the baby, with an arm and the cellular phone with cartoons. And when I watched the eyes of the child, is someone who has an addiction. And then when you take out, there is a crisis. It's abstinence crisis. Cannot do without. And this is really personally worrying me, because we are damaging something. This is something non-virtuous. Not virtuous is something that brings bad results to one and the other. The main problem is that when people do and there is no awareness, and one say, no, this is the best way to do it, and one is really convinced in what is doing, it's really sure, and this can go from very little things, eating things that we know that are not good for us, put the screen in front of someone without any control. I don't know which word I can use, but I think it's clear, no? We drop the children there. And we have to remember, we are not here to point the finger against anyone, but we are here to generate self-awareness. But I was at the point that I want to say something, but I saw that was no space to say something to the parents, for instance. So it's unuseful to say something when there is not the right moment, the right openness to receive. But this happens from very simple things like this until the war, up to the horrible acts of violence, extreme violence. And the worst aspect is not the act in itself, but then when this act of violence is happening in the lack of awareness of what they are doing, or worse, in the conviction, creating his own narrative that is the right thing to do. Okay, we understand. So when we realize that something in ourselves is not good, it's a great step, it's an important step, and we have to celebrate. I say this because very often I see an attitude of guilty feeling. I'm so bad, I'm so mean, I'm so wrong, I'm Not, it was better when I didn't know. I was not looking. Now I'm suffering the double because I see. No, when we can see something wrong in us, we say, oh, it's so good that I have this awareness. Now we have to be coherent, a consequence, and slowly, because it's an habit, the habit we cannot change from one day to another. So we have to pass from tayata to body. Understood this thing is not good for me. Okay, walk, repeat, familiarize. Don't do it one time, don't do it 2 times. When slowly becomes another habit. And we have to do with love towards ourselves. So when we realize that something is wrong, it's not that we say, oh, I'm so bad, I'm so mean. The fact is, oh, it's so good that I can realize that I have this habit that is wrong for me, so that I can redirect myself. And this is, it's compassion towards ourselves, with love for ourselves. So then this is the fact that day and night, we repeatedly, we have to review our directions, where I'm going, how I'm doing, and so on. And then we have a little difficulties, small or big, it depends, when we start to create more awareness, to observe. I'm going to look in which direction I'm going, but in which direction I have to go. Not always we have a point of reference. It's not always easy to say in front of this situation which is the best direction of conduct to keep, which direction I want to take. We have to remember, first of all, there are 3 aspects in what we are doing and the way we are living. What I'm doing, in which way, with which attitude and intention I'm doing it, in which way this experience transforms myself. Because there are certain things that I can do which are nothing special. For instance, I take a commitment that every morning when I wake up, I jump for 4 times. It's changing something if I do 4 jumps. It's not so a big problem if I don't do, I do or undo. But because I took a commitment that for 1 month I do these 4 hops, when I do these 4 hops every day, what I'm doing, I'm reinforcing the capacity to maintain my commitments. I increase my self-esteem. The day which I'm not jumping, I will weaken the respect towards myself, my self-esteem, my capacity to keep the commitment. So it's not about the hopes itself, but it's to keep the commitment which I took with myself. Okay, so this is not about what I'm doing, but in which way I transform myself in the process. So this is an aspect to keep in mind in generally. For me personally, there were some masters that had the capacity to touch my heart in a particular way and to give me clarity. And one of these, which was living so many centuries ago, was Tisha Dipankara Shigrana, this master living in the 11th century, born at the end of the 10th century, and then was living in Tibet at the beginning of the 11th century. He was born where now it is the Bangladesh nowadays. He had a life very rich from the point of view of practices and knowledge and teachings, without telling all the story of the life of Tisha. At a certain point of his life went to Tibet, and I think it was not 12. I think, if I remember well, 17 years he spent in Tibet. I always say 12, but in fact, sometimes with the numbers, I do some confusion. So the dates and the numbers which I say, don't trust me 100%, because when I read or listen to the numbers, I don't give importance, and then I don't remember. This is the main factor for that. But in any way, Atisha in that period meet so many people, especially with this main disciple, Don Trompa, o Drompa Gyawejune. Don Trompa detto, it was a lay practitioner, and he was the one who translated the teachings of Atisha in Tibetan for the Tibetan culture, and he creates the tradition that comes, he creates this tradition called the Kadampa. There is a representation here, which is depicted here. It's quite easy, where we have the door, the entrance door. If we go straight on top, right on top there is a mantra on top of the door, and also the security system. There is one woman standing. This is the scene when the birth of Buddha, because all this long panel represent the 12 phases of the life of Buddha. In the center there is the birth. There is at the end the cremation with the stupa. All is life of the Buddha. So the mother of Buddha, Maya Devi, on top of the door. There are some images on top in the round circle. Immediately up over the mother is Don Trompa with the long hair. This is the representation of Don Trompa Gyalwar, the main disciple, lay disciple of Atisha. Don Trompa lived many years with Atisha, and in those years they have so many encounter meetings with many teachings, and then Don Trompa transcribed them, the teachings. There is a huge volume, Kadampa Chu Puchu, that means the Dharma of the Kadampa, of the fathers and the sons. So are the teachings transcribed, given by Atisha and by his own main spiritual sons, disciples. There is 23, inside of these collections, there's 23 meetings, encounter of Atisha with Don Trompa, where Don Trompa writes and transcribes everything. And at the end of each teaching, there is a summary. In each meeting, it's an advice for the life, and all these suggestions form the jewel garden of the Bodhisattvas. So this is not a text written by inspiration, but this the summary, the synthesis of these meetings. There is a book in English, the Book of Kadam, translated in English. Inside this book, this volume, you have this the complete 23 teachings given by Atisha to Don Trompa, transcribed by Don Trompa. But since when I was a little boy, a young boy, from the very beginning for me becomes a guideline for the daily life, for myself. So how can I know? Okay, I give the direction. I have to have the awareness if I'm going out of rail or I'm on the path day and night, but which are the borderline if I'm inside or outside, which are the line. Atisha gives us this line, guidelines, all these advices that help us to live in a coherent and healthy, balanced and virtuous way. The text is quite easy. It's not, there are texts which are very tiring to read, because to understand what they want to say is not easy at all. For instance, the 7 point of mental training without the commentary, you cannot read, it's too difficult. This one is easy to understand instead. So I want to give you the oral transmission of the text, because Atisha transmitted to Don Trompa transmitted it to his own disciples, probably to Geshe Sharawa, Geshe Potowa, and so forth, for the Kadampa tradition, gradually passed from master to disciple. The oral transmission means that who heard it for the first time, read it as someone else, to someone else, and the other transmit it to another, someone else again. And there is a uninterrupted lines of the transmission of these teachings. I received it especially from two of my masters, Geshe Tupten Rinchen in the Sera Monastery, which was my main master of philosophy, and then I received it also in Tibet. I received it also da Kanche Losong Punsong Rinpoche in Tibet, in Tashilumpo Monastery. So two uninterrupted lines, and in the same way I want to share with you this text. And then we have a special relationship also with Atisha, because Atisha, it was one of the previous lives of Kyabche Trijan Rinpoche. So the main master of Lama Ganchen was the reincarnation of Atisha. That's why if we go in the other side of the temple, on the paintings, you see the white window, Verochana Yakashvaja. On top, we skip 1 and 2. There is a person with a horse, the third figure, on top of the white window. It was the servant of Trija Rinpoche, is the first recognized life of Kyabche Trija Rinpoche, which was the horseman of Buddha Shakyamuni. And between this, there are many of other incarnations. And between this, there is also Atisha, one of the previous lives, which immediately the present one is near my throne, near Lama Ganchen Rinpoche, and that lives in Vermont. I'm emphatically asking him to make a request to come here to give us teachings, to come back here. Is one wonderful master which is guiding to us, and he took the commitment at the right moment, and then one day will come. This is for sure, because he promised. In the same time, we requested if we can go, we go to visit the masters, not because normally it's the disciple who go to visit the masters. So we will organize in certain occasions who can go, but the difficulty is that he lives in a place between the bears, because in Vermont there are 4 people and 50 brown bears. So the organization is not so easy, and the place is small, but this I want to say just because there is also another connection continuously, life after life. And beyond this, there is also the oral transmission, which I received from my masters, and it is described that there is an enormous differences where we read the text because we find in the bookshop, and then we read the text after we receive the oral transmission. It's something different in my personal experience. The comprehension and connection with the text itself, it's changing. We can go much deeper. So we give you the transmission of the text. So we read loudly the text, and since we are in different times, we are in Italy, I will do also in the Italian text. So as a gift that I leave to you, so you can read it again. It's a text also that you can take even one line for one day or for a week and have this point of referment and reflect upon that. Next days you take another line. It's not that every day you can read every day the text, but the words help us to have a direction. So we visualize now that on top of my head there are my root guru, Lama Ganchen Rinpoche, close with the masters who give me the transmission, like Geshe Tupten Rinchen, Kache Losang Ponsok Rinpoche. Above them there is their master Kyabche Trija Rinpoche. Over him Kyabche Papunka Deche Nyingpo, and so forth. There are all the lineage master up to Don Trompa and Atisha di Pankara. From the heart of each one of them comes a flow of nectar that brings the meaning of these words. This comes to my heart, passing through each one of that, and from my heart is reaching to one, to your heart, one, each one of you.
shindu mikte ulwargi dragun namda shingla chebra sho yidam guru ratna mandrala kam niryatayami. Jancho sembe norbe trenwa sho so gyagara kedo bodhisattva mani awali pyokedo jancho sembe norbe trenwa tuje chenpo la cha celo lama namla cha celo tebe la cha celo tezom tamche panja shin drupla neden jesu cha nimo le lo raban shin tado chundru bebar renda shishin pa yope wambo konam tado son ninsen tuzon yanda yang semge gyula tabar cha dani nyeba cha cha shin shingi truba tsami cha dagi yende baja shin shingi yende draba cha nyeda kurdi panja shin keta tado pangwar cha deba chunship Deba Chungshin Chukshe Dan Chela Tin De Sobra Cha Chamdan Ninje Gomja Shin Janju Semni Dembra Cha Mige Chuni Banja Shin Taktu Deba Dembra Cha Cheda Ngagya Shumja Shin Membe Semni Dembra Cha Lobe Tsowe Banja Shin Chogi Tsowe Tsobar Cha Sansen Damje Banja Shin Pape Norgi Gembar Cha Duzi Damje Banja Gomba Lani Nebra Cha Kyalwe Tsinam Banja Shin Tadu Ngani Dambra Cha Lama Kembo Tongwe Tse Guba Rimro Kebra Cha Kansa Chogi Mingchen Dan Letambo Semjen Lan Tembe Dushe Kebra Cha Simchen Tamche Tongwe Tse Pame Putse Dushe Ke Dikwe Trobo Pancha Shin Gewe Shinye Dembra Cha Danda Mige Semba Shin Kandu Dewa Drobar Cha Kandu Dewara Drobar Cha Dala Kanla Chakpa Pancha Shin Chakpa Meba Nebra Cha Chakpe Dendru Midu Shin Tarpe Sakyan Chebar Che Kandu Dewe Chodongwa Deni Tadu Bebra Cha Tomar Samba Kanyimba Tambor Deni Drupcha De Deni Teta ni kunlek che dage shindu ni ga drumi gyoro takdu dik dang gadrawe kanto tongwe simchunle tetse nga kya chaksha shin ta lame dam nga lame dam nga drimbra cha shumbe simni chungwe tse simgik singne tobra cha ni ga tongpa ni tu gom kanto cha dang yul chung tse gyuma triba shindu ta minyen tsi nam tobe tse traja shindu tabar cha Lula Neba Chungwe Tse Ngungile Zo Tawarcha Eta Gombe Rabchen Eta Gomba Ramne Shin Rida Shiwe Roshin Dagi Da Nye Baja Shin Chakpa Meba Nebra Cha Takto Yidam Tenja Shin Lelo Nyo Takto Yidam Tenja Shin Lelo Nyom Le Simjon Tse Tetse Dala Ngendra Shin Tushu Nyimbo Drembra Cha Kalte Shinda Tongwe Tse Shide Somboro Mawad Chunyirango Sum Pangcha Shin Takto Zum Shin Nebra Chang Gundu Shinda Tongwe Tse Sena Mijin Jin Laga Chato Tamche Pangcha Shin Shingi Simni Sungwe Chir Tsumpa Tamche Pangcha Shin Takto Sudan Dembra Chang Ngoga Mijin Sadrome Ta Takto Tsuni Tubra Cha Shinla Nyeba Pangcha Shin Kube Tsugi Nebra Chang Shinla Damga Chebe Tse Ninche Semyo Ninche Peng Semyo Dembra Cha Chula Kurwa Mide Shin Kangmyo de la dunpa dan chocho namchu kone nye ninsen chebra bebar cha. Tusun gewa chizaba lame janjo chimbongo sonam semche namla dar tato yang la dunpa ye melam chimbo dawar cha. Dedra che na sonam dan yeshe tsonye zobar gyora drimni dan drimni owa driba nyi kya sekyorte milo toba tonyo pe. Lame janjo tobar gyora tebe nor dan tsuri nor tongwe nor da tobe nor teyongo za shebe nor sheram nyi ge nor duyente Norge Dambadi Dani, Mise Pai Nordunte, Mima in la Jumi Cha, Mawe Nang Du Ngala Ta, Chikburduna Semla Ta, Gagaragi, Kimbo Pade Marmeze Sambo Yeshe, Nimbo Zeba, Chancho Sembe Norbu Tenwe, Zo So Gele Pel. Ok. Facciamo adesso una lettura.
Now we make a reading in Italian. Slightly commented because if you consider each verse we can stay for hours, so we go quickly and I leave a little explanation between the lines. Homage to the great compassion, homage to the masters, homage to the deities who inspire devotion. We start with the homage. Why? Because Atisha says what I'm going to say is not something that I invented by myself, but is something that I received from my masters. The second reason why we start with the homage is to show us and transmit us that at the basis of the spiritual path exists the fact to rely correctly upon the spiritual master to create trust between someone who can guide us. Put aside all doubt and hesitations and take delight in earnest practice. Abandon entirely lethargy, dullness, and laziness, and exert yourself constantly with enthusiasm, with mindful recollection. So exert yourself in the effort constantly. With mindful recollection, vigilance, and conscientiousness, guard the doors of your senses at all times. Again and again, thrice by day and by night, examine the continuum of your mind. When we create familiarization to examine and observe our thoughts, you reach to a point when you can perceive certain emotions, certain dynamics and patterns just before they arise, when they start to manifest. So when we are able to do that, it's much easier to stop them. It's like a fire. You can switch off a fire when it's small. When we can see a little smoke, a little sparkle, you can stop it easily. So this is one of the results to create familiarities and observe your thoughts and your mental continuum. With mindful recognition, vigilance, proclaim, verse 3, proclaim your own failings. Don't fear to show it, but do not look for faults in others. This is already enough. Hide any good qualities and you may have while declaring others' virtues. So don't try to nourish yourself, your ego, through the recognitions, to using the others for that. So you don't need to undercover your faults because it's coming with the fear of judgment, and you also don't have to show your qualities because this also means that we are trying to nourish a certain image and towards we have attachment, when the aim instead is not to don't have the need to comparing yourself with others. So we start without having fear that they see other people, someone shows our defects, but we don't have to show them, but we don't have to hidden them, because we don't have to compare ourselves with others, so we don't have fear of judgment of the others, and we don't look for the faults in others. Usually we watch to the faults of others because they say, if the other is worse than me, then I'm up somehow, and this is not healthy dynamic. I train myself to go further. So hide any good quality you may have. This means don't try to have constantly the need of auto-affirmation and recognition by others, because when you enter in this process to search the approval of others and the recognizing of others, it's so tiring. So we create a dependence. When we have, we are happy, and when we don't have, we are unhappy, and so we create a lot of problems for ourselves. But while instead we have to declare others' virtues. 4. Let go of concerns for gain or respect, and always renounce the desire for fame. So this gain or respect means it means obtain profits and material benefits in the actions. When we relate ourselves to others and we do something for others, don't do it with the intention to obtain something material, some gain or respect or veneration or something similar from the other. In other words, when we relate with others, we have to try to be sincere and to sincerely do it for the others, and not to search for an exchange like a business. I do this for you so you can give me that. So because this kind of businesses normally, there are so many three types. How the person behave towards me, which benefit I receive from the other person or from the relationship point of view, if you give me affection or respect, how you treat myself. So we try to not have attachment of these two aspects, because This too creates a lot of problems and suffering for ourselves and others. So abandon and always renounce to the desire for fame, the desire to be seen and recognized is one thing that is interesting to see, because since not time ago it was an advice that for the majority of ourselves was not so relevant. From the internet era, epoch, and social media becomes relevant. It happens to you to put something posted on the social media, and you go to see how many likes, how many visualization, how many comments, and then so many people are seeing this, then you feel, oh, many people likes me. It's going to nourish our ego. And if they are not there, then we are upset. So this need of recognition, etc., is something, is an attachment that is very unhealthy and creates dependence. So a person is doing things not because he wants to do the things, but he wants to have the recognition, the feedback from the others, and it's so tiring, and it's also dangerous for us because at a certain point it looks like it's the most important thing for ourselves. And then we have so many examples in the time where we live of very young people who enter in emotional states, heavy emotional states, and even suicide themselves of these unhealthy emotions. They are criticized. They cannot bear these things because how the other perceive me and see me and judge me becomes so difficult for me. So when I am who I am and I don't need of the others to tell me who am I, so I'm not searching the approval from others, I'm not searching for recognition, this is that means that I'm much more stable in myself. I don't need that. So try to avoid when we see that we are entering in the patterns, in the dynamic to do something for the recognitions, we don't do. We try to avoid that dynamic in ourselves. With few ones, remain content and repay any kindness you receive. There is a fundamental difference between having few wants, dochu in Tibetan, so desire, and chun, little, and chokshe, that means to be satisfied. To have a lot of desires, a lot of wants, means I want more and more things. I want water, then I want the juice, then after the juice I want the tea, after the tea I want the beer, and so forth. And so many wishes and wants. The satisfaction is the water that I have is good. Unsatisfaction, this is not good enough, I want more or I want another water. One could be unsatisfied with many desires. We can say, what I have a lot, but I want more, even more. It's a sort of unsatisfaction, because not what I have is I don't like, but where I mean, I want more than that I have. And non-satisfaction means what I have is not enough, I want something more, so I don't give any more value of what I already have, because I believe that it's not helping for my wellness. So the important things have few wants and to be content in what we have. We already have. We have to remember satisfaction is the fruit not of having more things, possessing more things, but to give value of what we already have. And the less we want, and the more we have. This is a rule, very simple rule, but very important for us. We don't go in details in that. I think it's clear. Verse 5. Cultivate, 4. Repay any kindness you receive. When we receive kindness, we have to be grateful, be thankful, give something back. Don't be indifferent to the kindness of the others. Cultivate loving kindness and compassion. Familiarize yourself with an attitude of love and compassion and make your bodhicitta stable. That means constantly try to familiarize yourself with the feeling of love, of wishing the happiness of others, and also compassion. That means I want that the other is free from the suffering. Through these two, we create stability of our objective, our main, to develop more and more ourselves to help other people in getting out of suffering. That means bodhicitta. So try in your life to create more and more stability for your bodhicitta. Avoid the 10 unwholesome actions. Reinforce and let your faith be forever strong. The 10 unwholesome actions are the 4 actions, 3 actions of body, 4 actions of body, and body, speech, and 3 of mind. So generalizing, there are actions that in the majority of the cases are negative, because the action of word and body, in an extremely rare exception, could not be could be not negative, but requires a certain motivation and level of awareness which is not on our level. But the 10 negative actions are killing of the body, killing, steal, take what is not given, stealing, have a non-correct, non-wholeness sexual conduct. Killing and stealing is quite easy. The incorrect sexual life we can explain in different ways. We have 2 levels. The first level is that with the relationship with another person, you have a commitment, a level of commitment for both sides. So the incorrect sexual conduct is not keeping going out of these rules. Sometimes people says, if the other does not know, I'm not doing bad. If it's so innocent, you can go and tell what you're doing, what you did. What is creating conflict, distance, can create suffering. So the commitment between 2 people, if there is a commitment from the sexual point of view, this commitment should be respected. And the second level, what we intend, correct, is to respect the needs and the wills, the wants of the other. So the incorrect way is I relate myself with the other person, where the other person is not more than a means for myself, for my pleasure, and I don't take into consideration his needs and his wills. His will. So a term that I heard sometimes is the definition of luxury. It's lust is the lack of consideration from your own object of desire. That means you are not more than an object for my pleasure. If you like, if you want, you don't want, if it's good or bad for you, I'm not interested. This is incorrect sexual behavior, obviously. Then we have stealing, killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Then we have the 4 negative actions of word, which are Zoom is lying. When we use the words, even written words, in order to make that the other person has a different perception of reality and what we think the reality is. Because it is happening that someone lies in an illusory thing, subject. I can be sure that this glass is full of grappa, but I can be sure that it's full of grappa. It's water. Someone told me, is there grappa? I say no. It's a lie. Why? Because I'm trying to convince you of the different things of what I believe, and something that I believe. So it's not related to an objective reality. The point is on how I live my reality. I don't want for my reasons that you see what I'm seeing. So I try to bring you, to confuse and bring you like that you believe something different. So this is a line. In each one of these points we can go on and on, but so we have to avoid the zoom line. Trauma means create words, use words that create divisions. I can say things that are coherent and truth, but they are creating decisive speech, we call them, create division between feelings. Zitsup means aggressive words, violent speech. That does not mean only bad words necessarily, but sometimes one can see maybe a word which is a nice word, pleasant word, but in that context it become aggressive with sarcasm, irony. We can harm a lot other people, so we have to avoid this. And Nankiel is described the fourth of the negative actions of the word is the smallest but the more present. So that means speak without sense, nonsense. Why speaking nonsense is negative? Why? Let's see. When you talk just pour parler, just to chit chat, which are the main topics, the preciousness of the life, impermanence, meditation, how to help the others, which are the arguments that we speak about, the subjects. Normally, there are two categories, objects of aversion and object of attraction. And often the life of other people business, other real people or other imaginary people, because people can spend hours talking about a character of a movie or a movie. You saw what's happened to in that TV series, but what they say, what they done, but who we're talking about? But we believe that. What we do that? So what's happened? Talking about objects of attraction, of aversion, as an emotional components that moves something inside ourselves. When I'm criticizing someone, I'm cultivating aversion. When I'm talking about this and that, I'm cultivating envy, jealousy, attachment, and so forth, according with the subject that we are talking. So Lama Rinpoche had this wonderful way not to oppose himself to things. Then they say, no, you don't have to stop to do gossips. You have to do positive gossips. It's okay to talk, to chat, but we try to talk of virtuous things, the things which are positive. Positive aspects for our lives, and this becomes a meaningful conversation and virtuous conversation, which is not parlare, talk like that. The point is not talking, but when we talk and we conditionate our thoughts, and we are going to nourish some aspects of ourselves which are unhealthy, aversion, jealousy, envy, and so forth, anger. Then we have the three negative actions of mind. Napsam is cultivating the desire for what we cannot have. Oh, it's so good. I would like to have this, and I would like to have that. But our condition don't allow us to reach to that. So which is the result to want so much something which is out of my range, of my... Or I go against the conventions and I will act in a conflict way, on a violent way. For instance, I want something, I wish a lot, but I don't have the money to buy. Difficulty with... it will not bring to something positive, but it can bring to steal and then consume your life, to think, to strategize. I want this, I want to reach that, I want that. this and that, but it's something negative, but it's not one of the worst. The worst of all the negative actions is the next one, which is the ninth, is nosen in Tibetan. No means damage, sem means mind. Is the wish to damage the other, the intention to create suffering into other. And one say, I don't have this, I never have. It's okay, but better yourselves. For instance, it's also rejoicing from the suffering of the other. If you say that, this sounds very heavy. It is, in fact, but I don't know if it's something that is not nice for you. Something bad happened and you say, it's good. Even, for instance, a person that you don't know, maybe a public figure, a politics, a public figure that for some reason is not in our grace. I saw a lot of times when someone was in grace for the other and the other not. When he gets sick, the other saying, yes, that's good. He gets what he deserves. This is not a good thing, obviously. And then there are some moments where we intentionally, we want to suffer, to create suffering in the other. This also, it's one of the worst, for me it's the worst absolute in action. And then there is Lotaka, which are wrong views, which are a way to understand reality that brings us to act in a coherent way, unhealthy ways or negative ways. So, for instance, the idea that there is no relationship between action and result. I can do whatever I want, important and nobody see me, and I don't have responsibility in what I do. There is no relation between the two actions. If I think like that, I'm not so responsible of my own actions. In few words, the worst part of the wrong visions is that you are not aware that you have it, but this is a conduct that brings more suffering. The 10 negative actions, you don't see something that was dictated from Buddha, we have to follow, like commandments. We say normally people who act in this way is suffering more, is generating an unhealthy interaction, is negative. So it must be avoided. And here, a teacher remembers, avoid the 10 negative actions and develop your faith. That means you have to remember why we need to create respect, gratitude, love, compassion. We have to reinforce our faith in what is virtuous. So, in other words, avoid unwholesome actions and go to reinforce the faith in what is healthy for us. This is the advice that Tisha gives to us. I read quickly something more, then tomorrow we will go on with the comment. Maybe this afternoon. Overcome all anger and conceit and adopt an attitude of humility. When he said overcome anger and conceit, that means it's not that you can never get angry, because we get angry. That's why, because we say you have to win upon your anger, because it's because anger exists that we have to put some energy, some effort to avoid to be taken by that, and gradually we can win it. And the same is for arrogance. And be humility. This does not mean that you have to feel inferior. Humility means that you don't have the need to compare yourself with others. You are not superior and not inferior comparing to others, because you don't compare yourself. Renounce unethical forms of livehood and sustain yourself according to the Dharma. That means your own subsistence or livehood, means of livehood. Find a way to live that is not damaging others. For instance, if I earn my my salary producing arms. Everything is legal. What I'm doing as a consequence is quite direct in the suffering of others. Yes. If we can make so many examples more close to us, ourselves, but there are certain kind of jobs and professions, certain styles of livelihood, which has a direct impact, negative impact on the life of others. So we try to have forms of livelihood which has avoid those who has unwholesome means. For instance, I earn a lot of money with something that is polluting the environment, so we try to avoid this. So the much as possible, we have to find the best livelihood means. The perfect is not possible. The perfection is not possible. In our interactions, we have some negative interactions. We walk, or sometimes we kill insects. We buy food that is maybe produced with the suffering of others. We are not disconnecting from everything. We could do like the practitioners, like the Jainist tradition. They are very strict. I don't know if you ever seen. They are monks. They are completely naked because they don't have any attachment to the body. They go with a little broom made by feathers to remove the insect on your way in order not to step on them. Then they use the water without killing the insect. Everything is fully dedicated to ahimsa, but they live completely separated with the others. They are in a separated context. So how many people can live like that? They don't interact, but since we live in the society, it's normal that we have some interactions which sometimes are negative. So my point on this verse is we try to live our lives in our material interactions the most possible in a coherent way for what that is the good, the best solution for us and for the world. And this regards our way of working, our way of buying, our way to consume, our way to interact with the material world. We try to do it in the most coherent, consequent way, I said as much as possible, because the total coherence, since we have a body, is quite difficult to be completely pure. But we can do a lot in that direction. There is a lot that we can do on this point. So this is to avoid, renounce to unethical forms of livelihood and sustain yourself according to the Dharma, to relate yourself in an healthy material way with the world that surrounds us. Forsake material possession and adorn yourself with the riches of the Aryas. The Aryas here does not mean a race, a particular race. It's the same word of the Aryan race. Arya means superior in Sanskrit. In the Buddhist visions, the superior visions is not a race, but are the beings which succeed in eliminate their own ignorance. So, which are the things that the Aryas adorn, which are the richness with which the Aryas adorn themselves, is written at the end, is the awareness, the faith, wisdom, love, their quality, inner qualities, internal qualities. So abandon, forsake material possession does not mean that you have to leave everything, but you have to create a clear distinction in what you really need and what you want. Try not to be a slave of your material possession or worldly possessions. In Tibetan we says people needs possessions, and possessions need owners. So what I have a beautiful house, but then it's nice, but I need to take care, I have to clean, I have to maintain, repair it, and so on. So often we possess things that are useful for us, that are serving us, but finally we consume great part of our life to serve those possessions. Is it clear, no? So we have to be careful, do not come and don't be trapped in this dynamic. There's nothing wrong in possessing something. The important thing is that it's a clear function, could be benefit, it's useful, and we go out of the idea to the possession for itself. If as a function, we keep. Otherwise, we give a new life. If it has no function, there is a little exercise that we can open our wardrobe at home. We have to look the things, find ourselves in front of them, and ask, I'm myself to your service, or you are at my service. Okay, both sides, we are the service. You have a function for me. When we see that objects has no function for us, for the exception to be possessed by us, the possibility are, or we give away, we give a gift, or we throw away, or we sell it, or we give a new function. We attribute a new function. Example, a dress. I don't wear it since 5 years, not because I didn't have occasions, because I don't use it, but it stays there. So what I do, or I give it away. If I cannot give to anybody, I throw it away. Otherwise, I sell it or I use it. I give it a function. Also because to keep these things stop there, but stagnant way, are ours, but they are not moving, so they keep holding a part, an energetic level, a part of ourselves stagnant. So we need to allow the life to live, go on, otherwise we accumulate, and then we die, the other people need to clean. And then we don't know what to do, what is the meaning of these things, and people, so you create even problems to others after that. So we try to go lighter, to bring with us only what we really need. I think something is important. Today I think we stop here and we go on with the reading of the text. Just we go through it, and I invite you to read it again. Maybe there is a passage that connects more with yourself in certain time of your life, but use it as a point of reference for the daily life, your daily life.
Nime kuyan delek shin yinsen takto delek pe kuncho sumki chingi lob kuncho sumki ngodrubutsol kuncho sumki trashishu all'alba o al tramonto durante il giorno
at dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Tashidele. Have a good meal. Thank you to everybody. See you at 3:30.